Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to T4C Culture TV. I'm your host Akash, and today we're going to be talking about the big game, Spurs versus Manchester City. Are you guys ready? Because we sure are. So, without any further ado, before we get into today's video, I want to make sure to request you guys to please leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us. It really motivates us a lot. So, without any further ado, please welcome my guest representing Tottenham Hotspur, the home team. He always gets confused with Jason Statham. So don't think that Jason Statham is on the screen right now. It is Anand. Hi Tala, how are you?
Hey Harshad, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. This is your first time on the podcast and YouTube and all that, no?
Yep, I'm a bit
Yeah,
nervous, a bit excited. Yep.
yeah. So tell us, you're a Spurs fan for how long?
So, yeah, I've been supporting Spurs since 2010, probably since that Gareth Bale hat trick against Inter Milan.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, and so Gareth Bale's your favorite player or Bruno Fernandes?
definitely not Bruno. It's Harry Kane. Gareth
Harry
Bale
Kane.
is the one who probably instigated me to start watching Spurs, but right now it's Harry Kane. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the blue corner for Manchester, he's back by popular demand. You guys wanted him, and he's back again. Please welcome my guest, Karthik Siri. Hi, Tala. How are you?
Hi, bro.
Yeah.
I'm
How's
good.
the new double, Tala?
New normal is very difficult for me because I came very late for this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we were waiting for Tala Siri, but
Yeah,
now it's okay.
this month actually I'm having a lot of works in my office. So those guys
Okay.
are killing me actually.
Yeah, they're killing us everywhere, Tala. It's killing us everywhere. But good news is we can de-stress for a little bit and talk about football
Yeah,
till
yeah,
the
yeah.
till the big game, because when after the result, if any of us lose, we'll get pissed off. So at least before
Yeah,
that, we
yeah,
can enjoy
exactly.
for a little bit and talk about football. So yeah,
Exactly.
coming to the big game, Tala, you're the home team, and you're the team who's, I wouldn't say a bogey team for City, but this past last season, City struggled to break down Spurs, and you guys escaped to the 2-2 draw away at the Etihad and at home 2-0. So tell us, are you coming into this game confident?
I never go into a game against City confident of getting a
Yeah,
result because they are too good a team. But I don't know how, but the 2-2 draw away at Etihad was one of the good results under coach before he was sacked. I
yeah,
don't know how we came away with a 2-2 result. You should have seen the stats. It was probably 18 shots against 3 or 4
yeah,
for us. Yeah, but then again, in the return leg, we were much better. We came away
yeah,
with a 2-0 win,
yeah,
and that makes us unbeaten against them for the whole calendar year. So probably I'm a bit more confident this season because of our record over the past 7 8 games. We've been doing
yeah.
really well. Yeah, and I'm much more confident of playing a top six side who will come out attacking rather than probably a relegation fighting side who will sit back and defend. So we are good against teams who will open up.
Yeah. Like you said, it's always, you guys always struggle against teams that sit back, like West Brom,
Yeah,
Newcastle. You guys only scored one goal against them. Should have been more, but you guys only scored
yeah.
one. Now, Siri, uh, the news just came out. Pep Guardiola has now signed his new contract.
Yes, Machan. Actually, the the agenda for this podcast, what we prepared, has all been like we have to move that
Yeah.
Yeah,
down little bit because the big news has come now. Pep has finally agreed for the 2 year extension. Like it is a very great news for us as Man City fans. Like except I wanted him to stay because I don't think even some rival fans can think like he hasn't won the CL yet coming to City, and that was the big achievement is like pending since long since Barcelona. so they can like tell that. But as Manchester City fans, like the consistency he has produced and the trophies he has won, like we have to give the credit to him. Like, and the standards he has set in the league now, like getting
Yeah.
more than 90 points, like every team is going for it. And because of that, I would say like Liverpool up to that level because of Pep. Because now
Yeah.
now the teams are like fighting like hard, and they're pushing so high. If this season is not if the season was like a normal season, then this season as well, like we would be seeing teams going above 90 points. But this season it is a bit strange, as it is like uh, played without break.
Yeah.
So it is a difficult season for us, as
Yeah.
well as other teams as well. So it is a great news for us. Like Pep is agreeing for 2 more years, and it is good for the team this season as well, because there was a lot of rumors surrounding that, like what is his next move, and
Yeah.
the players' focus, and on the games ahead of this. It's going to be a difficult season, so this was a major decision, like he has to announce it, and there was pressure on club as well, like when are they going to announce it. So yes, finally I didn't expect it at all. Like there was no rumors also, like before, from the journalist, like
Yeah. It came
it
out
is
of
going to
nowhere.
come out or something. Suddenly it came
Yeah.
out, and yeah, I'm very happy that Pepper signed. And because I don't think any other manager who will be replacing Pep can produce that much of consistency, like in all the competitions. The consistency he shows with the teams, even though he gets the players he wants, and he gets the squad he wants backed by the club. I don't think any other manager, like whoever it may be, even if I wanted Poch to replace Pep, but
Yeah.
even if we replace Poch with Pep, I don't think that that sort of consistency any manager can bring out like him. So I'm
Yeah.
very happy with this news. So yeah, looking forward to the season now, and looking forward to the weekend's game.
Yeah, and back to you, Anand. Like you said before we hit record, this was a 1 year anniversary of Poch getting sacked. So, how far has your team come from that low point in your season till
Yeah.
now?
So looking
How
back
does it
to
feel? Like, how far have you guys come?
Yeah. So looking back to the same day last year, we were, I
Yeah,
believe, 14th in the table, and
yeah,
we had never won away against a team since January 2019, which was
yeah,
also against Fulham, who were a relegation fighting team. So that speaks a lot. So considering today we are second in the table, and we have won 4 away games on the trot in the Premier League,
yeah,
which is a big feat and not something that can be achieved easily, because even the low block teams are difficult to break down in this league, and
yeah,
they always play for the point, but we come away with full points. And the general agenda against Jose is that he plays negative football, but I believe the time he has taken away from the game after his reign at Manchester United, he has, I believe, undoubtedly worked on improving his tactics. So you can see
yeah,
that Spurs are probably holding more possession than the other teams usually expected us to under Jose. So we are playing positive football. So I believe the season is going to be good. You might argue that we haven't played too many top six sides over the past 7 games. It's just Manchester United. But then I am very optimistic for the upcoming season.
yeah. CD, you've been laughing for a long time.
He
So,
made
do
a
you have
slide.
anything
He
to
get
add to that?
Manchester United.
Oh, you haven't beat any top six teams. Okay, okay, fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I understood that. Good. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. Now, CD, back to you. Uh, how will Pep approach this game with this new mindset of having like
Uh,
tied down his future and having lost the previous game and drawn the game before? How will he approach this game?
in the start of the show, you said like you would not say Spurs as a bogey team to City,
Yeah,
but in my opinion, actually, I think nowadays, since coach taken over Tottenham, like they have been difficult for us. Like
yeah,
since he has taken over, I think uh, Spurs first. first big result against City in White Hart Lane, where Lamela scored like I think 4-2 or 4-1
It
that
was a
match.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, since that game, actually, Spurs has always been a bogey side for us, and as we all know, the worst nightmare like that CL game, the last minute war
Lorente.
decision, like
Yeah.
yeah. So everything played into this fixture very well, and even last season as well, like. Anand said that he's not sure like or he don't know like how they came back with the draw in Etihad. Like I want to mention that they shouldn't have come with a draw. Actually, we won that match. Last minute, Gabriel Jesus scored. Again, war came into play, and they have chalked off that goal. Like there was an
That was
unintentional
because of
handball by
Laporte handball.
Laporte.
Yeah. Laporte.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was totally unintentional, but due to the stupid rule, handball rule, they chalked off that goal. But uh, again, in several scenarios, the same decision was given last season. I don't
Yeah.
know like how that goal was chalked off, but that was actually a big loss that day for us. And if you notice last season, mm, that was the first result which started the city's decline. I think Norwich loss came after Spurs match. I'm not sure about that, but that
Hmm.
was the first game. Like I saw like this season is not going to be a good one for us, or we can win the title again. So and also in Spurs away game in their new stadium, I think that was the first game City played first
Yeah.
in Spurs, or West Ham played. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was the first or second game in the new stadium, and
Okay.
that was a like terrific game. City played very well, and in the opening minutes itself, we got a penalty, and we missed the penalty, and there was lot of like
Yeah. You had to retake it.
funny reactions from Jose, and he was very intense going to the referee, and all those things were very are the highlights of that match. And in the second half as well, like till Zinchenko's red card, we were very intense, and then even after going down to 10 men, we were intense. But if you see that game, actually we played very well. We took more
Yeah.
shots than Spurs, and we were so close to scoring goals. But Spurs were clear cut. They got 2-3 chances. I think they totally hit 2-3 shots only, but two goals they scored. And
Yeah.
that's the specialty. Like first goal was scored by
Bergwijn.
what's that guy's name?
Bergwijn.
Debut
Bergwijn.
game and debut goal. Bergwijn.
Bergwijn, Steven Bergwijn. He scored. That was his debut game actually.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was his debut game, and he scored on that day. And then second goal by Spurs, like on the counter attack in the
Son
second half.
Heung-min.
Son.
Yeah, he scored the goal. So like we have to give credit to Spurs as well on that match. Like they took their chances, but we were very poor in our finishing in that match. Like we missed many chances, and we missed the penalty. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was very difficult. Like in the recent years, the Spurs results against City were always like very disappointing for me personally, and even other City fans as well. Like it's been like a bogey fixture only, I would say. So this one is like again we are going away now, and
Yeah.
uh, now Jose, as Peppers mentioned in his previous press conference, not this week. I think press conference will be tomorrow. For before the international break, during press conference when he was asked about the title race, he said like he mentioned Spurs as well, and mentioned that Jose has got his players now. So that's what now we have seen a evolved Spurs team, and this window they made massive signings like. The positions that they need right players at the right positions. Like they got Hoiberg in the defensive midfield, who's
Yeah.
been very good now in this season, and Matt Doherty. I think he is tested positive for COVID, right? I
Yeah.
think he will miss the game. I think, and Gareth coming from Real Madrid. So yeah, it is a very good team now, and they have good players as well who can take the match away from us again. So it will be a difficult match. And as I said in the Arsenal preview podcast as well. So any game after a international break is very difficult because we don't
Yeah.
know. how the players will perform, because they are coming from the international setup. They have to like again come back to the club mindset and to the formation and tactics, to the club coaching staff regular routines. It will be a difficult thing. So uh, even though they are world class players, any match after the international break is difficult. It may be a smaller team or it may be a bigger team. Like it can go any way. The same thing happened with the City Arsenal match as well. It was also after the international break, and this one also coming after international break. So I would say it is a difficult game, but it is a must win for City, because we are not having like the points we expected now.
Yeah.
We are staying behind like in the table, and it is a good 3 points to catch up on the leaders like Tottenham and Liverpool. And knowing that Liverpool are like playing without the main players now, and so it is a right time, or it is a must win time to like catch up on them, or it will be a like big risk in the later stages, because there are so many difficult matches yet to come.
Yeah. And Anand, back to you. CD said, CD spoke about your signings. So how immense is Hoiberg in your team? He's really come in and sorted out everything, and not just Hoiberg, Regulon, and Gareth Bale. We've not seen much of. We'll get to him later, but Hoiberg, Regulon, Carlos Vinicius also is playing really well. So how immense are they in your bid for the title?
So I never thought Levy would back Mourinho during the summer transfer window. But
Yeah,
then when you see Højbjerg, he was one of our primary or first signings during the window, and he was
yeah,
one of the very less glamorous signings. Nobody would notice Højbjerg playing for signing for Spurs and mentioning that he could be a game changer. But it was one of the most influential positions or important positions which Mourinho wanted to cover, the central defensive midfield position. And I believe he has done a brilliant bit of business in signing Højbjerg. When you consider
mm,
that Kyle Walker-Peters traveled the other way for 12 million, we just paid 3 million for Højbjerg. That's a
yeah.
good piece of business. And I was probably having a look at statistics that says 75% of our goals started from a Højbjerg tackle or a disposition.
Okay, nice.
When you consider that he has been immense for us, we've never started a game without him. So he has been a very, very important player in breaking up opposition play, as well as finding our attacking midfielders with short passes, as well as covering up defense with Dyer and Toby. So he has been everywhere, and he has been playing really well for us. When you look at the other signings, Regulon and Gareth Bale, they are the more glamorous ones, but they definitely add quality to our side. If you see our left back options, it's just Danny Rose and Ben Davis. And Danny
Yeah,
Rose, as you definitely know, has been on a decline for a long time. And Ben Davis is not really known for his attacking prowess. He plays as a left back or left sided defensive player for
yeah.
Wales.
In the
And he
Europa League, he played as a left center back also.
Yep, yep. So he's not good or offers the threat going forward. So Regulon has really done that job. He has pitched in with 2, 3 assists already, and
Yeah,
signing a striker who is a backup to Harry Kane has been on the wish list of every Spurs fans for probably 2, 3 years, ever since Janssen departed and Lorente as well departed after the last summer window. So signing Carlos Vinicius is really a brilliant bit of business. Looking that he is not a down and out striker who is on the end of his career. He is a young and hungry striker who is trying to prove himself, coming on loan from Benfica, and his debut game in the Europa League was brilliant as well. He got 2 assists. He should have got more. So looks like he can play just like Harry Kane, who is also pitching in with more assists rather than goals.
yeah,
So he can more than cover Harry Kane. And Gareth Bale is just coming into the frame. He is regaining match fitness, and I believe Heung-min Son, Kane, and Bale, a front three, looking at it on the paper, any team would be afraid to take them on. So that psychological advantage at least we have. And Gareth Bale, once he regains full match fitness, will definitely be a threat. I certainly don't believe he is past it. He'll definitely try to come good for us.
Harry Kane has been a player transformed. He's now playing as a number 10, and he's somebody whom the entire Spurs attack goes through. Because remember, like there were people saying that when Kane was injured in the Champions League finals, you guys actually played better without Harry Kane because Lucas was playing. They added more pace up top, but Harry Kane just came in and slowed things down. There were calls that Harry Kane shouldn't have even started against Liverpool in the Champions League final. Now that he's dropped into this like sort of number 10 role, how key is Harry Kane for your attack right now because of his link up with Son and Bale and the other two forwards?
So Harry Kane definitely, if you see his record, he goes through injuries in his careers every year. So
Yeah.
if you look at the games, once he returns from injuries, they are never good. He takes
Yeah.
some time to settle back in. So even in the last year, he was out from Jan, and he came back only after the project restart, and he looked completely off the pace. He got a couple of goals, but they were on the counter, and he never really contributed. But then,
Mm,
when Harry Kane with full match fitness is a totally different topic. He's one of the best number nines in the world. Uh,
mm.
Probably only Lewandowski can come close to him. So
Aguero?
Aguro hasn't scored a goal in 300 days. So I think it's
Okay.
between Lewandowski and Kane at the moment, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Harry
uh,
Kane, it's more about having Harry Kane with full match fitness and match sharp, because he has been playing every game over the past 2 years, because there was no backup striker for him. He really had to play every game. And this year, Mourinho has probably based his tactics around Kane, making him run minimally and probably making him play as a number 10 whenever the opportunity arises against teams who play the high line. He has made Son and the other wingers run in behind the defense and tasked Kane with finding them rather than run in behind, which is not really
yeah.
the Harry Kane's one of strong points. So Harry Kane, when fully match fit and hungry for goals, cannot be stopped. Yeah.
See, you guys are currently unbeaten in 5 games, but in all those games, you guys have not scored more than one goal, which is completely unusual for a City team, especially under Pep Guardiola. Uh, I don't. Anand may disagree, but I feel that Aguero is a main factor as to why you guys are not being able to score. But is there any other factor? Is there any other reason? Like, why can't Pep just try to feed a proper like formation? He might try to play Dilap instead of playing like Ferran Torres as a false nine, something like that.
First of all, I want to come to the Aguero point, okay?
Yeah,
Because
come.
he said that he hasn't scored in 300 days or something, right?
Yeah,
That he is injured, okay? He's injured, and when he is fit, we all know who Aguero is. And you should definitely know like how many goals he has scored against Spurs. Even
Yeah.
in the Champions League, that match, you remember the goal from the
Near post.
near post goal.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
gone like a bullet.
Yeah.
Aguero is a class apart in the Premier League. He's like there's a lot of disrespect among the rival fans. Like they are bringing this Aubameyang and who's other
Aubameyang
else.
is
Like they are bringing United fans are like they are bringing Mason Greenwood and all to compare with him. I'm not sure who, like what these guys are on. Like they should be like having a quality drugs over there. And
just, just
like
being a United
Agoro is a
fan.
quality player. Like he's a generational talent. When he's like in his youth days itself, he has won like the Golden Boy Award. He was won the World Cups, like under 19 World Cups, and he has done lot of things like career goals. Everything is good. I got nothing against Kane. He's a brilliant player, and I want him like. If you ask me like which player you would take from current Tottenham, I would say Kane. I love him like he's a quality player, but Agoro is a class apart and he's like a best striker we have seen, one of the strikers we have seen in the Premier League. Like we can ask any legends, like all the managers, all the defenders, many great defenders would say like it is difficult to like play against Agoro. Even the greatest defender of all time, which many people say like Virgil van Dijk now. he's also said that Aguero is the best, or Aguero is the difficult player to defend against. So that's the thing about Aguero now. So I'm waiting for him to come back. So coming back to your question now, like what is a problem for City to score? That to Pep Guardiola's team, like so it is very weird only. Pep's team always score goals, and we like in the last even when we didn't win the title last season, we were the team which has scored the most
Scored
goals in the
most
league.
goals.
And that has been like since the moment Pep has upped his game in the Premier League. Like we were the highest scoring team in the Premier League, and this season suddenly the goals have dried up. That has been due to many factors. Say I would put it down to Leroy leaving, and then missing of David Silva. These two players are the two main factors, like why City are not scoring that many goals now. Because if you see now, we are playing Raheem on the left hand side now, the player
Yeah,
who is strong on his right foot. But if before that, in previous seasons, Lara used to play us for us on the left,
Sterling on the right.
who's a
Yeah,
left-footed player, and is Lethan on his left foot. And
yeah,
we had players like who can we had players like Leroy plays on the left, and Raheem plays on the right. So those are the strong points of them. And then the two number eights, in Pep's usual 4-3-3 system, like KDB plays on the right and Silva plays on the left. In the middle, we had Fernandinho to
yeah,
cover the defense. And we all know Silva is one of the best players to play in the tight spaces. Like he can hold
yeah.
the ball, and then he can pass it direct to Leroy, and then he will cut in back and then score the goals. That has been the typical Pep style of goal in many matches, but that's been missing now. That is also one of the factors like why Raheem is struggling now. Like he can't score many goals now, because whenever he gets the ball on his ball to him, pass to him, so he had to change it to his strong foot, that is right foot. Whenever he plays on the left now, so he can't take the shots, or he can't make the right pass with his weak foot. He has to again change it to his right foot, and then he has to shoot. That is being difficult for him. Before that, the defenders are covering him. And also David Silva is being hugely missed, because right now we are playing either Phil Foden or Gundogan on that position. I see Phil as a very good player on the right hand side, but right hand side we are playing KDB now. And Gundo is more like a ball carrier. He's not that kind of person who will look for the difficult passes or adventurous passes, who will place in the tight space and in the half space area, which is usually we concentrate between the defender and the fullback. The Gundo is not that type of player who can make that pass for the winger to cut in and get the pass. So that is one of the difficult thing which we are not seeing in current City team. So that's why the goals have been dried up. But the defensive signing is very good for us now, and Ruben has come out very well. He's been very strong in the air. As we know,
Yeah.
in Premier League, the defenders has to be defend mostly in the air, because the most of the teams play the air balls, and
More
the
get
defenders
the
needs
over
to
the
be
top
strong
through
in the
balls.
air.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially the lower league table teams, they usually don't play ground to ground passes. So defense has been good now. Touchwood, defenders also, except Mendy, the other people are fit, and Laporte and Ruben partnership has come out well for us. So yeah, so defensively we are showing good signs now. And attack wise, that's what these are the problems I see mainly, Silva and
Leroy.
not a left footed player on the left. So that's what costing us, and we are not able to score many goals. And also we have to improve our finishing as well. This has been um, a major factor for City since Pep days. We are a team which will create most chances, like many chances we will create, but how many of them we are converting, I don't know. If you see KDB's key pass conversion ratio to goals, I don't know, it would be a good number, because we have been missing so many chances. And the conversion ratio, definitely we will be the team which is converting the number of chances to goals. We will be in the bottom of the Premier League, if you take that comparison. I'm definitely sure about that, because the number of chances we get, the number of easy chances we get, that too
Yeah.
in crucial games. Let it be Rahim. Rahim misses the most simple chances he misses, that pisses me
Yeah,
off, and
its
the
form has been
difficult
very
one,
bad this season.
yeah, the difficult ones he always scores, and that's what. We need to improve our finishing. Also, like that was also down to, I think, with one of the things from Mikel, who was left to
Yeah.
Arsenal, because I have seen in many training videos after the normal regular training, like players used to like take up the ball with Arteta, and then they keep on shooting. Those drills are like, I don't know whether it is happening or not. It may
Yeah.
happen, but I don't know how seriously they are like taking it. And also
Yeah.
penalties, like in big games we are missing. Even in the last Liverpool game, we don't know like how KDB missed that penalty. Like I never expected him to miss, but okay, it's fine. It's the first one for him to miss. At least like it was a good penalty. He made the keeper go on the wrong side. But if you take other players like even Aguero and Sterling, Gundo, we have tried many players. All of them
Yeah.
have missed penalties. Previously, we had Yaya, the guy who never misses any penalty. But now
Balotelli
we are,
also.
yeah, but now we are missing penalties and these chances. So these things play a vital role in the big games. Actually, in games like against Spurs or say Liverpool or any other team, like these in these big games, you need to take these chances. Even in the Champions League away game, Agüero missed the penalty against Spurs. So if we
Yeah.
had got that one away goal, the entire scenario would be different in the Champions League. So yeah, the players missing and converting the key chances has been poor for City. So that's why like we couldn't score the goals which we used to do. Now,
Anand, back to you. How do you think Mourinho will approach this game? Will you guys go for a three at the back? Because there have been a lot of rumors that you guys will use a three at the back and try to hit them on the counter, or will he use this approach of the last game?
So I don't think Mourinho will tinker too much with his preferred lineup because I think played with three at the back in only one of the games, that too in the Europa League against I think Ludogorets, and that too was tossed at halftime because we weren't playing well, and he has
Okay.
been getting good results with 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. So these were the two trusted formations so far in the Premier League by Jose Mourinho. So I think he'll trust his players to perform well in their own positions, which they have been doing well in the Premier League so far. So we dropped points against only three sides: Everton, Newcastle, and I believe it was West Ham. And
Yeah.
apart from the Everton game, we were very good in the rest of the two games, which we should have come away with the wins. So there is no really no need for Mourinho to tinker with his lineup. So I
Hmm.
believe he will still go with 4-3-3 with Toby and Dyer are his current preferred centre back pairing. So I think he'll go ahead with them. And as you know, Doherty has tested positive for Corona, so he's
Good.
out of the game. So yeah, Arya needs to start. So
Then
I,
one penalty is confirmed.
yeah, so Aurier and Dyer are the kind of players who are just 1 minute away from turning a 9 out of 10 performance into a 5 out of 10. So they are
Yeah.
just one mistake away from conceding penalties. And City have so many quick footed players who will always look for a penalty in the box. And
Yeah.
going up 1v1 against Aurier or Dyer will definitely will be on the agenda for the City players. But Dyer has been trusted a lot by Mourinho, and Dyer himself has said in interviews that centre back is his most preferred position, and he wants to develop as a centre back for both England as well as Tottenham. So I believe he is getting better because we considered the least number of goals so far this season, and I
Yeah.
believe partnership is developing well between Toby and Dyer. So I believe they'll be able to come out on top. And it's good that Agüero is out of the game because Agüero always scores against us. So the only problem is that he stays injured for a long time. His injury record is has been bad for City,
Yeah.
more than for himself. And I believe he'll still go ahead with Højbjerg, who is undroppable at the moment, who is utterly immense for us and very important for us, and Ndombele, who is obviously not involved in the international break because he was not with the France squad, so he'll definitely start. And the third midfield position is, I believe, should will go to either Sissoko or Winks. Most of the Spurs fans are waiting to see Ndombele and Lo Celso start together along with Højbjerg because that was the dream midfield pairing since the summer transfer window days. Because as you know, Ndombele and Lo Celso are definite ballers who have
Yeah.
tricks up their sleeve and will definitely cause troubles for opposition teams. So, but Jose has been very apprehensive of using them together on the field. It was always Ndombele, Højbjerg, and Sissoko, or Lo Celso, Højbjerg, and Sissoko. So I believe he'll still go ahead with Ndombele, Højbjerg, and Sissoko or Wings. And the front three, I believe Son and Kane definitely will be undroppable because they are on really good form, both scoring
Yeah.
and assisting each other. The third winger, when Gareth Bale was regaining his fitness, it was rotated between Bergwijn, Lamela,
Bergwijn.
and
Yeah.
Moura. Obviously, Lamela and Moura are players who fit the Jose Mourinho bill because they contribute very well defensively, who can track back. And I think Moura got the most number of tackles after Project Restart last season, even more than defenders from other teams. So that says a lot about how he has adapted his game to suit Mourinho's demands. So, considering City are a lot more attacking than other teams, I believe he might go with Mora. I believe Lamela is out injured and he's not yet fully back fit. So, it should be either Bale or Mora on the right side of the front three. And I believe it will be Regulon who will start at left back because he offers a lot more attacking
Yeah.
rather than Davies. So, yeah.
Coming to like what I asked CD, City have not scored more than one goal in the last 5 games. You guys are currently unbeaten. You scored six against Manchester United. You scored three against West Ham, but they were the draws that you had were very unconvincing. Like it could have gone either way. 1-0 against 1-1 against Newcastle and 3-3 against West Ham. There is some kind of mentality that whenever you concede a goal, you just immediately like capitulate. What could be the reason for that? And could Europa be the factor of you guys being burnt out too quickly this season? Because you had a lot of games in the first month, right, for
Yeah.
qualification and cup games and all that, but you went through that unscathed. But you guys seem very leggy and very burnt out, and I think that was evident against West Brom. So what is that? Could Europa be a reason for that?
So I think you could ask this question because Spurs have always been pointed out for their weak mentality for conceding in the last minutes over the past few seasons, or probably that's something Spurs have done for years. But I wouldn't be too probably worried about that for this season because the two games which we drew, it was against Newcastle, which we considered, which wasn't a penalty, but then due to VAR for an unintended handball at the
Yeah.
last minute, a penalty was awarded. And if we had been more clinical, we should have come away with 3 or 4 goals. So that is probably a one-off incident. And the only game then which we capitulated was the West Ham game. And when you consider the goal which Lanzini struck, that probably was bound to happen or meant to
Yeah.
happen. That's what we can say and move on. But other than that, even in the tight games like West Brom, which we won by 1 goal, and Brighton again, we won 2-1. We withstood the pressure from those teams in the last few minutes. So I'm not too really worried about the capitulating mentality of Spurs or conceding in the last minutes. So even when we had to defend the 1 goal lead in these two games, I was more encouraged by the performance by Spurs rather than worried about the one game which happened against West Ham.
CD, coming to you, if Jose Mourinho were to attack your team at a particular weak point, what is the weakness of your team?
As always, our highline, like Jose will try to like target our defense, like Son and Kane, and now Bale or Mora, whoever is going to play, they will be targeting like the spaces behind we leave behind our defense. Like they will be always ready, and also like now Kane is like started playing as number 10, who is coming deep and receiving the balls. So you
Yeah.
will definitely look for the passes to Son, who will be ready to like go on. And Sun is a player who can beat any opposition player on the one-on-ones. He can take on any player, and the pace he got and the clinical finishing he got is like a different animal right now.
Yeah.
So
It
that
will be
is
Sun versus Walker.
yeah, it will be Sun versus Walker. Like definitely, like Walker will start, and he's been like he's been a main asset from Spurs to us. Even though he costed 50 million for us, but I would say he's the most consistent player. Like and for us, and he's not getting the like appreciation from others, which he deserves. Might be less, but. If you ask me, he's the most brilliant signing for us, because in the Premier League, the players he got and the work he puts in for us, like in the games, and he covers the ground whenever that too for our kind of playing style. He's like a critical player to Pep, so that's why he's
Yeah.
undroppable. Even when we have Joe Cancelo, who should be like a much bigger player than him, who's got big level than him than in attack. Even Walker plays ahead of him because of his the work he puts in for the team is absolutely tremendous for us. And yeah, that is the area Jose will look to target upon. Like he will let us play, as we saw in the last fixture, like in the 2-0 loss. Spurs will wait for their moment to get the ball, and when they have the ball, they will target our spaces behind the defense, and they will look to go take on the players.
Anand, for you, the fact that you mentioned earlier, City players are quite tricky on the ball. They try to cut in and try to dribble past Spurs defenders. Would that be their main strategy, or that is that your weak point, that Dyer and Aurier are very error prone, or is there something else like Pep would target?
So I think they would target our right back and center backs. So they've been very inconsistent since Mauricio Pochettino's days. They've always been known to concede penalties in the box when faced with one-on-one situations. Uh, but there is also the fact that Loris has saved two penalties against City, one in the Champions League, and then Aguero was on the pitch and still handed the ball to Gundogan to take the penalty last season. But yeah, they'll definitely target Dyer and Aurier. That's what I feel, because they are always one mistake away from uh,
Yeah.
giving the attacking players a chance. But I believe competition is always a good thing, and we can see it evidently in the Spurs lineup this season. The fact that Matt Doherty has come in has drastically improved Aurier's performance.
Yeah.
More so that some Spurs fans are commenting that Aurier is now better than Matt Doherty.
Yeah.
So similarly, Davies never really assisted for around 100 games, and he got two assists in an Europa League as soon as Reguilon was signed.
Regulon
So
came on. Yeah.
yeah, competition definitely improves the performance as well as mentality of the players. So definitely Aurier will know that Matt Doherty is breathing down on him, so he'll definitely put out his best foot. Same for Dyer when he asks for his favorite position to one of the top managers who has probably managed so many top defenders. And if the fact that Jose Mourinho believes in him should give him so much confidence. But as you probably saw from the United game last season after Project Restart, he was doing so well just before conceding a penalty to Paul
Yeah.
Pogba in the box, which ruined the whole game, and they went away with a totally undeserved one-win draw, which felt more like a loss for us.
Yeah.
So I I think he has improved a lot this season, because after the West Ham game, if you see, we it was either one goal considered or no goals considered against the opposition teams after the West Ham game. So the defense is improving, And the fact that Ledley King has joined the coaching staff, one of the Tottenham legends and one of the best centre backs in England has produced. So probably I feel we are starting to see the effects of that in the Tottenham defense. But the thing that we haven't played a top six team, excluding Manchester United, has been on the back of my mind. So probably this will be a. I mean, I included Manchester United, yeah, at least for now. You haven't gone out of the top six, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so uh, considering that we have to face uh, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea in the next 6 games, so this would be a good game to test our defense more rather than our attack. So they should give us a good view on how or where Spurs stand with their defensive abilities, because that is more important to sustain a title challenge when
yeah.
the season is going as strange as it is this season. So many teams have been dropping points, and Leicester are sitting top of the table, and City and Chelsea are playing catch up with the other teams. So this would be a good season to mount a title challenge. But if Dyer and Toby will be the centre back pairing to take us through the challenge, we can check only if they perform well against the top six teams, just like they have done over the past few weeks against the lower relegation fighting teams.
CD, Anand already gave his predicted lineup. What would be your predicted lineup?
Uh, uh, I'm not sure like what is the condition of players right now. Like because the international break matches which got over yesterday only, and this international break seriously like it is very 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 bad for all the clubs
Yeah,
because I don't know like how they played yesterday because you see Belgium, England players played yesterday and most of them plays for Spurs and City
yeah,
and I don't know that is also this club match. This match is coming on Saturday, so I think today only they would have reached Manchester or London, and tomorrow they have to train, and the next day they have to play in again 90 minutes. If you see players like Kevin, Toby in Belgium, and in England, Dyer and Foden, Walker, all of them they played 90 minutes, and in the span of like 7 days, I think they played 3 games, and this was totally unwarranted and not necessary as well. I don't know why they are
yeah.
playing this tournament and causing more trouble in this already tougher
Hectic
season
fixture.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah. One good factor is like after Jurgen and Pep and other managers have spoken regarding the five substitution rule, I think now EFL has like given a go ahead signal for that. I think I don't
yeah,
is it into effect from this game from this
yeah.
fixture?
From this week, it's effective.
Okay, then that is also a good chance for like to take away the tired legs because it is the only possible way to sub off the players.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it is very difficult for it is a huge pressure on the players as well. If they get injured, it will be a long term injury and it is causing the players huge mental setback. Yeah, so I don't know like which are the players fit and how many of them are COVID free now. I don't know. So, but the lineup which I want to see is like definitely Ederson on goal. There will be no confusion on that. He's the one person who's going to start, and right back, as I said, it would be Walker. We need Walker to cover Sun on there, and center back pairing. We know it will be like it should be Ruben and Laporte. Hopefully, both are fine. Laporte didn't go for national duty; he was not selected. But Deschamps is another guy. I don't know why he's not picking him at all. But as a City fan, it is good news for me. He's not going to his national team is
yeah,
good news for me. So he stays fit here, and I hope he stays fit, and he should be starting. Laporte and Ruben will start, and on the left it should be Joe Cancelo. He's
yeah,
been terrific this season for us in the national team as well. He's the second best creative player for us this season. Apart from KDB, he has created more key chances and key passes for us this season.
yeah,
And in the midfield, I think I want us to go with the normal Pep system, like two number eights and one defensive midfielder. But I'm not sure like how Pep will start, because this season, as we know, he's playing the double pivot many times, and is like a more of putting a player to support Rodri in that position.
Yeah.
So I think Rodri and Gundogan again will start, and KDB will play as number 10 role behind the striker. But I'm not sure, that can go anyway. It will be like that, or it can be Rodri as the single defensive midfielder in front of defense, and the two number eights in the half space, like KDB on the right, and Phil might start on the left, or Bernardo Silva can start,
Okay.
or those two players can start. So it would be any one of this combination, like Rodri, Gundo, KDB, or Rodri, KDB, Phil, or Bernardo.
Yeah.
It should be any three out of these players. But more likely, I think it should be Rodri, Gundo, and KDB, because
Okay.
the kind of counter attack threat which Spurs have got. I think Pep would like go for Rodri and Gundo to give more support to the defense. I think he would put those two players there. So, and in the front, as we all know, like Gabriel is back for us, and he's in good form now, and he looks sharp now. And three starts, three goals he has scored for us, and all three goals are like very good goals for he scored. So I think
Yeah.
Gabriel would start, and the new golden boy from Spain, Ferran Torres. I want him
Patrick
to
Boyd.
start. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I didn't watch the game, Spain versus Germany, but I saw the highlights. He was terrific that game, and the goals he scored, the third goal on the move, he scored the third goal to the far post across
Mm.
New. So that was a terrific finish. It kind of it is a kind of goal we see Son to score, like on the
Yeah.
run, he takes the ball on the score. So it is kind of that kind of lovely finish it was. And he's on a terrific form as well. The like when we were without striker, Torres was playing for us, and he was making the right move behind the defense. So not
Mm.
many players have got that instinct to go behind the defense and
Make the
make
runs.
that
Yeah.
move, make that run. Yeah. So he's like playing very well now, and it is good moment for him. And he has adapted well to the league and to the team. Team has handled him very well. The players like him, so I want him to start, but I'm not sure whether Pep would start him, or he would start Mahrez. Mahrez also scored for Algeria
Yeah.
against
That was a brilliant goal.
Zimbabwe. Against Zimbabwe, he scored, I think, and he's also on good form. But Mahrez has been dropped against Liverpool. I don't know. Like I want Ferran to start, even though Mahrez has got his own skill, and he's also like very very technical player. But I want Ferran to start, and another player on the left will be Raheem, who will
Okay.
definitely start. But that is also another concern now. They have pulled him out of England due to injury. I don't know how fit he will be. We will be knowing more about that in tomorrow's press conference. Or I think Pep won't reveal that whether he is fit or not. Definitely, and but I think due to as precaution only they have pulled him out. So
Okay.
due for this club fixture, so I think he would start. If he doesn't start, it would be Ferran and Mahrez. It is straightforward as that, or it will be I want Raheem and Ferran to start.
Now comes the interesting bit. Now comes for the combined 11. So, starting with goalkeeper, Hugo or Edison.
I believe Hugo has been underrated by too many EPL fans. So you all might know that he broke his hand in the Brighton game last season, and ever
Yeah.
since he came back from injury, he has never put a foot wrong. So he has been brilliant for us. Saved some crucial shots and saved some crucial points for us last season, as well as this season. He has been keeping a couple of clean sheets, and his shot stopping is second to none in the league. So and you can say that Ederson has been prone to few errors from his distribution, even in the last season and the season before in the Liverpool game and the Southampton game. So now that Poch was very intent on playing from the back, and now that Mourinho has given Loris the freedom to go long, he has been void of any errors, and his shot stopping has improved so much. And after all, he's a World Cup winning captain, goalkeeper. So whenever there is a debate on the top goalkeepers in the league, it is always Alisson, Ederson, and definitely not Kepa. Even Chelsea fans are bringing in Mendy, even though he has signed just this season, but Loris always has been overlooked by the other clubs' EPL fans. So I definitely think when we compare Ederson and Loris, at least over the past few seasons, he has made comparatively less errors, and his shot stopping is second to none. So I'd probably go with Loris.
CD,
In my opinion, Loris gets lots of stick because of his mistakes in the near post. In the past, we have seen many times in the near post he has conceded many goals. Because of that only, including myself, we have made fun of him, and we don't rate him that much during those mistakes. But as Anand said, is shot stopping. I would give him if you ask me like Ederson and him, I would rate Loris in shot stopping as a very good player. But when it comes to distribution or ball playing abilities, can't beat Ederson. His skill on that is like top level. You can't find that kind of player. So his distribution is like a player who can pass like KDB from the back. It's
yeah.
right on point. But yeah, so as we are talking about combined 11, and you want a goalkeeping parameter, and that is the main area. Like shot stopping, I would consider it as a strong point. I would include Loris.
Oh my God! So both of you agree on Loris.
Yeah.
Okay, good start. Good start. Okay, right back.
So
Will
Right back,
Anand
it
choose
definitely
his
has to be
former
Walker.
first?
yeah,
Will Anand
so
Definitely,
choose
it
his
has to be
former
Walker.
first player?
yeah, so again, England are blessed with so many right backs that Kyle Walker gets underrated so many times due to the attacking process of Trent Alexander-Arnold and the defensive capabilities of Wan Bissaka or Reece James. But Kyle Walker has performed at the top level for so many seasons consecutively. Even when City have a bad game, Kyle Walker will always put up a good game. He'll track back, he comes forward. I think he scored the winning goal against one of the teams a couple of games back. So he contributes attacking.
Sheffield.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
his
he tracks back.
boyhood club.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and he starts with marking the most mobile or pacey players, and he does that without any complaints, and he does that well as well. And it's not like we have one of the top right backs, so we have just Aurier and Matt Doherty. So I even then, if we compare Kyle Walker to any of the top six teams, he definitely get in ahead of any of the right backs. So I definitely go with Kyle Walker.
CD will agree with
Yeah,
Kyle Walker as well.
Walker is like even though he's like bit like a Loris only, I would say. On some day he would make mistakes. Even this season, against Leicester, he has considered one penalty, and in Liverpool game, it was not his mistake. In Liverpool game, that was not a penalty, but that was a very harsh decision. But even soft contact nowadays, the players tend to fall, and especially Mane kind of player, and so they've given a penalty. So that is not his mistake. So sometimes he makes his mistakes. Yeah, I agree. But he is a kind of player who puts that 7 8 performances week in week out. He's
Okay,
consistent player. He's fit. That is the most important point. That is he would stay injury free. That is the more consistent player who can play at the top level very frequently. So that's why I rate him very high. Yeah, that's why Walker is my choice. The right back
okay. So
position.
Loris, Walker, right centre back. I think this is the area that will have a little bit of uh, debate. Alderweireld or Ruben Diaz?
I would go first here. Look, I like Toby as well. When he was out of contract in Spurs, I wanted. We were short of defenders last season. I wanted, like, I was saying funnily, I know it won't happen, but it was my wish, like, to sign Toby as well,
Okay.
because he is also one great player like Spurs have, and he's like a spine of them. So he's a very good player, but Ruben is also showing me good signs, and he has adapted to the league very well now. And but it is pretty early to judge on him, and the consistency Toby has got, and the high level of football in England he has played, and we have seen him. Even I would pick Toby right now in the team, the combined 11, ahead of Ruben, the right centre back position.
Yep. So Toby was probably out of the club on his way along with Vertonghen, but then he's one guy who has been performing top notch for us. He was the rock of the defense during the Pochettino era, and we got one of the most promising talents in Davinson from Ajax for 40 million. One of the very promising talents. Even then, they couldn't probably shift Toby out of the defense, so he has been performing consistently for us again ever since he signed the new contract. So before the new contract, he was probably in and out of the team when Davinson, Foyth, and Dyer and everyone was shuffled in the defense when Mourinho was trying to identify his main man. But now that he has got his confidence back and he has committed his future to Spurs, he has been performing very well for us. So definitely, it's going to be Toby.
Okay. So Loris, Walker, Toby, left center back.
Left centre back, ahead of they got Dyer, right? It has to
Dyer,
be it.
yeah,
Yeah, it,
yeah.
it
It's no debate, no debate.
Yeah, it
It
has
has
to be
to be
Laporte.
Laporte.
It has to
Yeah.
be Laporte because Dyer is playing good now. The position given to him, and he's kind of like the points which I kept for Ruben. Like, it's going to be a long season, and this is his first big game this season at that position, and we have to see how he plays. But Laporte is like one of the fantastic players in the Premier League, and I would say he's one of the best defender next to Van Dijk in the league, and he has played very well, even though like he did like two crucial mistakes in the Champions League against Spurs, which costed us the game. He is one of the player like which any team would take. That is also left-footed player, a good strong center back who's good in the air, who can
Yeah.
score goals from set pieces. um, so I think he's a good addition to us, and he should play in the combined 11. He should be there ahead of Dyer.
So
Okay.
one of the main wishes of Spurs fans is that we don't have a left-footed centre back. So Davinson is right-footed. Toby, Dyer, even the new signing Joe Rodon from Wales, he is also a right-footed
Yeah,
centre.
that's what finding a left-footed that too center back is very difficult, and we got one from Atletico.
And so Laporte has been performing at the top notch for so many seasons since he signed for City, and he has been the only player who can be brought into an argument when we compare someone to Van Dijk. So that says a lot about him. And I'm not sure about the reasons for France not selecting him in the squad international break after international break, and even for the competitive tournaments. But that
Yeah.
has been a blessing in disguise for City. But yeah, he's a top class center back, and he's a left-footed, natural left-sided center back, and he definitely goes into the team without any competition. Yeah.
Loris, Walker, Toby, Laporte, left back.
Left back, we don't have any player right now. I would give it to Spurs.
Regular. Cancelo has been playing very well. He's
Cancelo is very well, but he's not a left back, right? You
Yeah.
need a
yeah,
left back
that's
here.
true. So
Yeah.
it's Regulan, Anand.
Definitely Reguilon, but the fact that City have Angelino, Mendy, and Zinchenko, and that the fact that a right back has stepped in at left back and has been performing better than those three players, yeah,
Even Ake is also sort of a left back, no?
Yeah, but he is also injured now due to this.
Ake is injured. Okay.
Yeah, international break. The first game itself, he got injured, groin injury.
Oh god. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot it was long back. No, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. CDM, Hoiberg or Rodri or Fernandinho?
I would pick Hoiberg. because in the if you go back and see my Arsenal preview itself, Rodri is still not very convincing for me, because I expect the standards of like Fernandinho, and since I saw him play in that Centurion season and the next difficult season which we made, the back-to-back title. So those 2 seasons he was very consistent to us, and the standards he set was very high.
Yeah.
And to Rodri is also a very good player, but to the system which Pep plays as a single defensive midfielder, like and the pace of Premier League is having a toll on him. But this season, when I see the stats and the performance heat map or any post-match stats from the games, Rodri is looking good now. But the counter-attack situations which we leave to the opponents is still high. The system Pep plays him as lone defensive midfielder. He's having a bit difficult time because most of the times the opponent's team sit backs and hit us on the counter. Still, he hasn't got that positional awareness like Fernandinho to stop the counter attacks. So that's why Pep needs to sacrifice one attacking player like Bernardo or Phil. Instead, he plays Gundogan, who is not that kind of attacking player. Instead,
Yeah.
being a ball carrier and a supportive player to his other DM. But if you take Hoiberg, even in Southampton, he played really well, and in this first team, like he's doing many very good. What to say in football, they call that role as a dirty job, and
Yeah.
he does it pretty well for the defense, and he clears up the ball, and he's a mobile player. He can go up and down of the pitch, and he's playing very well. So I would take Hoiberg, but it depends on the formation as well. Like if you are going to
They're
put
playing a
this
four
combined
three three.
11 in 4-3-3
4-1-2-3.
or huh?
4-1-2-3.
4-1-2-3, then I think it should be Hoiberg ahead of Rodri.
Okay. Tala, you already made your case for Hoiberg. You spoke about Hoiberg. Anything else you want to add about Hoiberg?
Yeah, so I believe he trained under Pep at Bayern. I don't think too many people know
Okay.
this. He was,
Is
Oh,
it?
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, he was from Bayern.
yeah,
Murli,
he,
Murli keeps on crying that Bayern let him go.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
he's more of a he trained under Guardiola, so probably he gets his tactical awareness from that. And we cannot complain that he didn't get game time at Bayern because there were too many good players to be dropped. But
yeah,
the fact that he got to work with him probably definitely improved his confidence, and he has been phenomenal for us. And yeah, and Rodri has definitely been a underwhelming signing when he was intended to replace Fernandinho. He was nowhere near Fernandinho's class or performance, and Højbjerg has impressed everyone as soon as he stepped in into Spurs. And
yeah.
considering that he was got on the cheap, he has been a phenomenal signing for us.
Yeah, in my opinion, he's currently the best DM in the league
Yeah,
for sure.
that,
By mail.
yeah.
The two sentiments. Kevin De Bruyne has to be one. That that is
Yeah,
included.
yeah.
The next
Okay.
spot.
Who's the
Yeah.
next midfielder we got?
So it has to be
Phil,
between
Bernardo, and
Bernardo.
no, Bernardo is
Gundogan.
not up to
Phil,
his mark.
Bernardo, Gundogan.
I
You
would
said
say
4-4-1. What is the formation?
1, 2, 3,
4-3, 4
two number eights. Yeah,
two sentiments,
4-1?
one DM.
4-1-2-3.
4-1-2-3.
4-1-2-3. Okay.
One CM, two number eights or CMs.
One is Kevin, and
I think
another one, my choice would be
it's Endomble. That's the name you're looking for.
no, no. I
Is
would
it?
go for like
Finally, our first disagreement. Very nice.
I would put Phil there because
Phil.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because in his form is good, and even in the last game against even though it is Denmark, he has scored 2 goals when he's been called up, and he's on good form now. And when you when you put him in midfield rather than like in the front three, he performs well. Like he's got that physicality to run box to box, and he's young, and he's got the speed as well, and he's got the technicality to shoot from the distance. His finishing is good, so I will put him in that position. But what why I was hesitating was like he's also like a not left-footed player. So we have KDB already on the right, and so yeah, I would go for Phil there.
So I would
Anand,
make
Sissoko, it's Sissoko, right?
definitely not Sissoko. So Sissoko has been our creator in chief for us. He has been playing the pseudo number 10 role from the midfield, and we have probably gone down in creativity whenever he is off the pitch, which is in
Yeah.
total contrast to last season when he struggled to complete even 60 minutes in a game. That was his lack of fitness. So he has improved leaps and bounds this season, and he has been contributing creatively for us so much. But if you see his goal scoring outputs, it doesn't match Foden's. So that's the only thing probably we would need Ndombele to improve on. Other than that, if you consider getting out of tight spaces and the ball progression from defense to attack, and then finding the right players, I think Ndombele has been playing well. But if you consider goal scoring outputs, it would have to go to Foden. But Ndombele has been very good for us in playing the creative role.
But what about Lo Celso? Because you're talking about a number 8, and Gio is also very good at that. I'm surprised you didn't talk about him.
Yeah, so after the project restart last season, he was the standout player for us. So I thought he
Yeah.
would be probably a constant part of our team who cannot be dropped. But as per Jose's comments, Lo Celso has been lacking in fitness over the last few weeks. He's still working his way towards full match fitness. He was probably injured during the time.
I saw one of Lo Celso's post with Otamendi in
Yeah,
the flight
squad. Yeah.
returning from the break.
So Lo Celso was the typical Jose Mourinho player after Project Restart towards the end of last season. So he
Yeah.
contributes defensively. He contributes in creating attacks at the other end. But due to his lack of match fitness, he has not been seeing much of game time this season. He has more been deployed in Europa League games and brought
Yeah.
in a sub in the EPL games. So I think after a few games, once he regains full match fitness, he'll be a tremendous player for us. But at the moment, since he has not been contributing too much in the Premier League, he didn't have a good shout.
I think I'll have to go with Ndombele because Foden is good, but he's very inconsistent. But Ndombele is also inconsistent as well. But now that he's really stepped up, it's almost been like a new signing. I think I'm going to have to give this one to Ndombele. So
Yeah,
it'll be Hoiberg, Ndombele, and Kevin De Bruyne.
yeah.
Now left wing, Sterling or Son.
I'll go with Son.
Since this is a combined 11 and I'm going to be like or we are going to be the boss of this formation, I would put Sterling on the right. Sterling
Okay,
should
you'll put
definitely
Sterling on
be
the
on
right.
the right. Yeah.
Okay, you'll put Sterling on the right and Son on the left.
Yeah.
Have
Wait,
a
you said the formation is 4-1-2-3-1, right?
4-1-2-3.
4-1-2-3.
4-1-2-3.
4-3-3.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can take it as a
4-3-3.
4-3.
Basically 4-3-3 with one CDM.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then without doubt it will be like Harry Kane at the top because we got Aguero out and only Jesus is there and is of like Kane is like level above him like any day.
Aguero is
So
there,
Kane is
would be
like, huh? Sorry.
even if Aguero is there, Kane would be in ahead of him.
Okay, so Kane would be in my 11 as well, and on the left I would definitely keep Son there, and on the right I want Raheem, and that's a good team. Yeah, that's my
So this is
forward
a
line.
4-1. So this is a 4-1-2-3.
Yeah, 4-1-2-3. Yeah.
Okay. Anand, you also have the same formation or?
Yep, I agree with that because we don't have a established right winger. So we have Son and Kane. Kane fixed as the left winger and striker. So in the right side, we usually rotate with Lamela or Mora or now Bale. So I think Sterling definitely is a class above all of them. But probably I never seen him play on the right side for City. He has always played on the
Yeah, that's
inverted.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what. If you see our previous seasons when Leroy was there, so whenever Leroy plays, we play the left-footed player on the left and right-footed player on the right. So in the first season, in the 100-point season, Leroy plays on the left and Sterling plays on the right. And in second season, the one 18-19 season, Leroy was not starting consistently. Instead,
So Sterling
Pep
played on
put,
the left.
because KDB got injured that season. KDB got injured this season, so Bernardo started playing on the right. Bernardo started playing on the right wing, and Sterling plays on the left wing.
Okay, fine. Loris as goalkeeper, Kyle Walker, Toby, Laporte, Reguilon, Hoiberg, Kevin De Bruyne, uh,
Probably.
for Ndombele.
Ndombele.
I CD wants Phil Foden, but I'll give it to Ndombele. And the forward three is Son, Kane, and Sterling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good
If
chat.
Sterling
And
doesn't play the game, I want Ferran
Ferran.
instead of
Ferran.
Sterling.
Yeah, Ferran has been in good form. He
Yeah,
slapped Anand's favorite international team also.
yeah.
So good chat. And final thing is CD predictions. I know you won't give predictions, but I want you to give a prediction. Last
Yeah.
time you went for a
So
draw. You played it safe and went for a draw. This time, I need you to give a definite result.
you want me to give a winning prediction, and then you want me to like jinx the game.
You can
That's
give a
what you
losing
want, right?
prediction also. You can give a losing prediction also.
Losing prediction, how can I give? Being in WhatsApp chat, I can give the losing prediction. Here, how I can give. So
Okay,
yeah,
tell.
so it's a tough game, away game, and as we talked in the beginning of the show, Spurs being a difficult team always for City in the recent past. Yeah, that we are not scoring. We have our own scoring problems, but defensively we are good now. And end of the day, like whatever tactics Pep uses or Mourinho uses, like end of the day, it is up to the players. Like both have got very world class players in their own teams, and all the players are like regular starters for their national teams as well, the players who are going to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is down to the quality of the players tomorrow. And I want City to win, because it is a huge game and a huge 3 points for City to win. And if we are going to like give away this three, another draw, or we are going if we lose this game, then the gap becomes more and more big, and it will be a huge pressure on Pep and the
Yeah.
team to mount title challenge. Because already I think other teams at the top are like 5 points clear, even though we have got a game in hand. Even if we lose this game, or if we drop points in this game by drawing or losing this match, it would be difficult for City then. So I think it is a must win game for us, and it would be a huge boost for the players as well, getting a win after the international break in this tight schedule. And getting the 3 points will be good for the team morale. And so I want City to win. My score line would be like, I think it would be like, I see Spurs definitely scoring, because somehow we will be always conceding that clean sheet, some unlucky decisions, or somehow we will always tend to concede. So I think it would be an intense match. I think Spurs will score definitely. I think we would concede one goal and score two to win the match. It would be
So
2-1.
2-1. So it'll be the first time you scored more than two in 5 games.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No, man, we
For
scored against Wolves.
5 games, Jay. This is the in 5 games you haven't scored more than one.
Okay.
Wolves was the sixth game, the first game. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be the first time you scored more than one goal. So Anand, up to you.
So our attacking players have been in good form, Son and Kane. So I believe we can score against any defense. So I believe we can score, and it's the defense I'm a little concerned. And they have great quality in attack. Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling, and obviously Jesus and Torres. So I
Yeah.
can see them scoring as well. It would be great if we stop them, but probably they can get a goal. But I think we can outscore them in our home. But there is also the fact that we've won four away from home, but we've probably dropped points at home. So there is also that factor. But as of now, I don't want to be too pessimistic. I'll go with a 2-1 scoreline for us. with probably Son grabbing 2 or probably Son and Kane scoring 1 apiece.
I think it's going to be a very high scoring game, so I'm going to go 3-2 to City. That's going to be my
That
prediction.
is your prediction. Okay.
Yeah, that is my prediction. And so I think we've covered everything that we wanted to cover. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to CD and a big thank you Anand. I don't know if this part will get recorded, but just a welcoming gift to the channel, Anand. Hope this happens on Saturday. Okay.
We can use it post match and not just pre match.
Yeah, that's what.
Actually, this meme concept was created by me. I made the first picture. There was one
Come
previous
on.
version to this picture,
Yeah,
which
come on.
was
You,
designed by me. But I was not good at Photoshop, and Sai was good at Photoshop. Sai then refined that pic and made this.
after like post match is going to be come on you. North
Yeah,
London United.
hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much, CD. Thank you so much, Anand. And I hope you guys have a great game. I hope it won't be a nil-nil, but we'll see. And Anand,
Definitely, it
do
won't be a nil-nil.
there should be a penalty to City.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And obviously, Loris.
There will always be some at least some bad thing will happen, and they will give one penalty to Spurs from City.
there should be a penalty to City, and Anand should
There should
say,
be a penalty to City. That might happen, but what is not possible is we are not taking that chance nowadays. We
Yeah,
are missing
Loris
it, and
2 penalties against them. So I'm not.
you need somebody like Bruno G.
yeah,
Yeah,
You
tap
need
in.
somebody like Anand's
Bruno
favorite
was
player.
one of our target. No, then only you guys signed him.
No, he was a Spurs. He was a Spurs target also.
Yeah.
He was supposed to come to Spurs also.
Wrong Fernandez. We got the Jetson Fernandez instead of Bruno.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening to the show. Drop in the comments your predictions. Please leave a like. Please share it around and do subscribe if you haven't. It really helps us. So for now, this is me, Akash, along with Anand and CD signing out. Peace.